Hey there guys, Jerry here, aka Sergeant Siage, back in here with another video, and today we're just going to be going over the most complimented fragrances here of the summertime here. Now you can already kind of see one over here that's in frame yet, but that's alright. But we're going to have like 12 different scent profiles, or 11 different scent profiles, but 12 total fragrances in general here. So let's go ahead and get right into it. I want to move this along pretty quickly. 2 honorable mentions, and then we'll start getting into the top 10, but the top 10 will be in no specific order. So one kind of a cop-out here, obviously, for the honorable mentions, and that's going to be Armaf's Odyssey Limoni. This is the gym fragrance. I've been back in the gym now for about 3.5 weeks, and this is usually what I go to. It's either this or Mont Blanc Legend Spirit, or whenever I was testing the Anfar fragrance here, I was testing summer in Dubai. That worked out pretty good too. This, though, is usually what I was going to here because it's got about 5.5 hours of longevity. Nothing, blowing anybody away or anything like that. So you don't really mind sweating it off. And it's only like $27-ish, $25, $27 right now. I kind of like the bottle. I like the way that they marketed this. And it kind of just fits, exactly the way it looks. Citrus is ginger, tea, and that's pretty much it. That's all you're going to get from this here. So good stuff all around, but not much to say about this one. Would I purchase it again? Probably not, if I knew what the scent profile was exactly going to be. But with a name like Limoni, you kind of already know what you're getting yourself into anyway. The other one, I only gave a few wearings here, and I will definitely give it more wearings as time goes along here, especially into the fall time. I would say the transitional seasons are probably where this is going to shine the best to begin with anyway, so spring and fall is probably where this is going to shine. But every time I wore this, which was like 4 or 5 times over the summer, and each time it garnered really good attention, I'll probably buy a second bottle of it. This one was gifted from a friend, and that's Armaf's Club de Nuit Precious here. So this stuff is really good. I believe I talked about it, in verbatim, almost, more in depth here in one of my first videos where I didn't really like this fragrance whenever I first got in, back into fragrances here. And I think it might have been either, something off with the nose, something wrong with maybe the specific batch or what, but it was not good to my nose here. But now that time has gone along and I've smelt, a lot of different scent profiles now, stuff is really good, and it seems to pull in positive attention too from other people around you. So I'm not going to complain about that. Can't argue with results. So this one is good to go too. It also has really good projection and longevity. Usually like 3 hours of projection. I usually get 10 to 12 hours of longevity out of that stuff. Now we're going to go into what would be considered like a top 10 here list, but like I said, no specific order. And we're going to start off here with kind of something that's a little bit more basic here. I think I got this back in late June or early July. And I think us as like a fragrance community whole kind of, we just complicate things a little bit too much sometimes. And sometimes you just got to get back to the basics and go with that here. Some of the dumb reach stuff is the stuff that pulls in the most compliments here, and this is one of them. This is Club de Nuit Urban Man Elixir. Now, this is the 3rd fragrance in the video, and this is also, I believe, the last Armaf fragrance in the video. So there's one more that we're going to talk about here, but it's actually kind of a side note to what I'm going to talk about. But obviously this is Sauvage with more of an Aventus style opening. As time has gone along, that Aventus style opening does last a little bit longer here. I would say it lasts about 2 minutes rather than like the 30 seconds whenever I first got it. But the problem with this fragrance here is every time I wear this stuff, my wife goes, "Oh yeah, you smell really good." And I'm like, "Oh man, well, in my mind, I'm thinking this is literally just, a Sauvage dupe, probably slightly more floral Sauvage dupe here, but good. Usually get you know, anywhere in that I would say 8 to 10-ish hours in the longevity. It really depends, but 8 to 9 is like, I can solidly say yes, probably skin scent from like hour 7 to 9. But this stuff is really good. I always say, I said this in a past video too, if you only have like $30-$35 to spend on one fragrance, almost, you know, 8 times out of 10, I'm probably going to tell you, go get this. It's going to cover you for all seasons. Its versatility is going to cover you in mostly all the situations that you would be in, and you're going to be good to go, at least for a few months here. So there you go. That one cracks in the top 10. Next up here, we're going to talk about the one that I was just talking about here. Obviously, I really hype this stuff up here. I really love this stuff. That is Club de Nuit Extrait de Parfum. I think it's the best one out of the bunch. I think if you're going to go out and buy one, I would probably just grab this and be done with it. I've started wearing this a lot more recently as we're getting into the end of summer, but I would say that the one that pulls in the most compliments that has been like the Aventus style of DNA has actually been Dumont's Celerio Oros. This is a little bit more apple forward. Has a tinge of Hachivat in there too here. It's not all Aventus here, but the one thing that this has going for it is it has a more watered down, creamy nuance in the mid, and I think that's coming from the Lily of the Valley in this one here. There's also lavender in here, I believe, too. That's not found in like most other dupes. I think not only Intense has maybe lavender. I don't remember. I've seen so many fragrances here in the last 3 months especially, so I have no idea. But that stuff is really good. I usually get 8 to 9 hours of longevity with this. Again, skin scent probably from like 7 to 9. And yeah, good projection, at least for like the first 2 hours that it's on. Moving along here, we're going to go with something a little bit more playful and something that even whenever I do wear it, I usually only spray maybe 3 to 4 times, because usually it's right after I'm getting off work and I'm going to go for a walk or something like that. I want something that's a little bit more upbeat and or uplifting, not upbeat. It's not music, but lo and behold, Paris Corners Coconut Lagoon. Now, Ross from TLTG hypes this stuff up, and rightfully so. This stuff is really good. If you can find it, I would grab it. I think I've seen this on Amazon recently, and it's like on a sale for like $27, which I mean, for the presentation, and the bottle's nice and heavy, the cap is nice and heavy, it has a good look to it. Longevity, probably anywhere in that 5 to 6 hour range. It's not going to blow your mind or anything like that, but this stuff is fantastic for what it is. The dent is not very much because, like I said, I usually only spray it 3 to 4 times because I just want to get, you know, a little bit of a workout in right after work, and then I want to get home, shower, and be done with it here. If I'm working out at home, even better then. So, because I can just spray it on, get an uplift, and get some pumps in, and get in the shower here then. But next up here, we're going to go with, let's go with this one, because this is a relatively new release, and I think this is my favorite out of the bunch. It's Etrelia's Absolute Chill. I actually just wore this last night as my scent of the day. I usually get a good 7 to 8 hours with this, which is pretty good actually here for the DNA itself. And I also think this is probably the more masculine of the bunch here. I would say unisex, leaning slightly masculine, where like Bouteille Azul from Amphar is also really good. I really like that one too. That one's more unisex leaning femme. This is unisex leaning a little bit more masculine here. So why is that? It's probably because there's oak moss in the base of this, so as it dries down, it gets a little bit, it has a little bit more of a male musk to it, or a masculine musk to it, not a male musk. I don't think I would want to wear that, but there you go. Atrelia Absolute Chill. Next up here, let's see here. Let's go with this one here. I typically like this one. We just mentioned Amphar anyway, so, you know, why the hell not? Amphar's Midnight Frost Intense. Now, this smells exactly like Hawas Ice. I say that, but I would say this is like just very slightly toned down. It is like very close to being 1-to-1, but I don't think anything can ever be like a 1-for-1 here. So this stuff is really good. I don't get the projection off of this the same that I do with like Hawas Ice, but I do get like about the same amount of longevity from this, maybe a little bit less too. But this one is just like a very slightly more mature take on the DNA, and I just seem to gravitate to this a little bit more than I do Hawas Ice. I still wear Hawas Ice a decent amount, but I tend to gravitate to this one just a little bit more. They're kind of redundant and own with each other, so that sucked for me because I blind bought Hawas Ice was actually my second purchase. I got this first and then Hawas Ice, and yeah, it just ended up sucking. So, not the fragrance itself. I mean, it just sucks to own something that's redundant already here. So, let's go ahead and go with this one here, because this one does have a little bit of a dent in it here. If you look there, you can see that top is starting to drain down here, and that's Ether Extrait. This is a Greenlee cologne here. I always harpen it to like an apple shampoo / shower jelly vibe here with some woods in the background, and that's kind of what it is. I also think there's a cashmere in here too, so gives it a very clean feeling. You're not going to attract any negative attention while wearing this, and you're probably going to get anywhere in that 6 to 7 hour range with this stuff here. There's been times where this has lasted like in 8 hours, but for most of the wears that I wear this for, I'm usually getting in that 6 to 7 hour range here, and it's pretty good. So there is that. Next up here, we're going to go with one that I didn't start wearing until about the middle of the summer. It's been the one that's been in frame too, and that is the original Codlage Island. I started wearing this one in the middle of the summer because after I had my surgery and stuff, I was like, well, wait a minute, I haven't worn this like almost at all yet. So started wearing it, really liked it. I thought, I was kind of not going to like it because it kind of gives off like that cocoa butter vibe, that tropical vibe, and I don't gravitate to those fragrances too often, but this stuff is really good. It's got a little bit more depth to it than just like your average tropical fragrance, and I think that's why I gravitate to this a little bit more than some of the other ones. Longevity on this one, I'm usually getting right in that 7-ish hour range here. It's not, a beast for, I believe this is an extrait. Yeah, this is an extrait, so, but this stuff is really good. It has pressurized atomizer, bottle design is really nice, and it has like that textured style on it here, except for the sides. It'd be nice to have them on the sides, actually, but yeah, overall, great stuff there too. Next up here, let's go with this one here, and that is going to, I'm not even going to try to announce the last name of this. I always butcher it, but it is Ahmed Koff. This is Percival, Abercrombie and Fierce, or yeah, Abercrombie and Fitch's Fierce. This is just good. It's got a watermelon take to it. I'm scared to like spray this, but I'm gonna a little bit anyway. But yeah, this stuff is really good. Longevity wise, I'm usually getting in the 8 to 9 hour range with this one. Whew, that is strong. This has been sitting for a little bit here. I wore it last week here, but before that, it probably has been like a few weeks here since I wore it the last time. But it is like 44% volume. Yeah, so there you go. This stuff is really strong, and it's really thick and oily too. So go a little bit lighter on the sprays with this one. You don't need too much. But this stuff is also fantastic. Clean shower jelly vibes. You're not going to mess with this. So there you go. At number 2 here are the second to last fragrance here. It's going to be one that I got in toward the end of summer, and that's going to be Dumont Soprano Ice. This is that YSLY Le Parfum cologne with a little bit more of an aquatic vibe to it. It also has a little bit of an incensey note to it, so whenever you get something that's got like that incensey, Divana, almost like cannabis style smell to it. It's a little, I believe what they would call it, raunchy in, you know, the perfumery world here, or fragrance world, whatever you want to call it. But this stuff is really good. And the reason why that is here is because, like I just said, this is one of those fragrances it's a freshie, but it does not stay linear at all here. I remember the first time I wore this, I was surprised at just how good it was. I didn't think this was going to be that good. And I was thinking, all right, this is another like YSLY, you know, flanker, clone, you know, big whoop. But this stuff ended up being really good, and it's probably going to crack the top 5 of like the Middle Eastern releases for the year, at least for in my book here. So yeah, really good stuff. Spring, summer, fall longevity on this, I was getting 8 hours or so here. I mean, it was probably pushing past that even, because the projection on this seems to boom off my skin at least. But I really like this stuff. I would definitely, you know, maybe not blind buy safe, but I would put my stamp of approval on this for sure, just because it's unique, it's a freshie, and it's a non-linear freshie, which is a little bit hard to come by. Not impossible, but a little bit hard. And then the last fragrance here for the video is going to be one that is a little bit more basic. It doesn't get talked about too much anymore, I think, because there's other, you know, Bulgari Tiger style dupes out there that do maybe a better job than this. But it is going to be Amphar's Tarathi Blue. And if you can see the dent in there here, the shoulders are almost gone. Now, keep in mind, I have about 90 to 95 fragrances here in my collection now, and I was keeping, you know, kept coming back to this and was wearing it. It has been a little bit now since I've worn it, but every time I wore it, my wife would just tell me, like, you just smell, you know, like, you smell like a really good grapefruit, pretty much. And she nailed it. She nailed it on the head here without having to be told like what it was or anything like that. You just smell like a really good grapefruit, and that's exactly what it is. Grapefruit, ginger, musk, maybe a little bit of woods here in the background, maybe some orange in there, probably. Just like a bowl of citruses. That's almost what it smells like, a bowl of like photorealistic citruses. And whenever you're wearing something like that, it's got probably a little bit of ambroxan in there too, you're not going to smell bad. I mean, it is basic, but it works for a reason. And again, like I said with this one over here, I mean, you can't argue with results, and it gives results, and it's pretty cheap right now because there's other dupes out there that are doing it right now too. So it makes it even better, and even more value pickup now more than ever here. But that's going to wrap it up here for the video. I wanted to keep this under 20 minutes, talking about multiple fragrances, maybe a minute or two per fragrance. That's going to wrap it up here for this one. Next up here, we're going to go over like fall fragrances here that I'm looking forward to wearing. Of course, we get into September, I get all these fall fragrances in, and we're back into 80-degree weather. So lo and behold, that's just where we're at right now. I know next week, I think we're supposed to dip in the 60s and the low 40s here finally. So I'm looking forward to that. I'll see you guys in the next one. Hopefully you guys have a good day. Peace.